Have you checked the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Robert Duell.
And we are back to do another patron request. This is the most recent poll request from June, I believe, from our patrons. So every month, if you didn't know, if you are a patron, you can, no matter what level of patron you are, you can put in a request for a movie to review that month, and then everyone can vote on all of those requests. And then if you're a Cenobite tier or higher, you can request a movie every month in addition to that. So this month's poll winner was a movie that I've been wanting to watch and review for a while now because I've heard so much about it, a la being a classic slasher, and mostly because it was early Tom Savini effects. So I bought this collector's edition Blu-ray a long time ago and just never got around to watching it. Threw it up there as an option for our patrons, and someone selected it, and they all voted on it. So luckily we are here to finally talk about The Burning. Yeah. Now what's funny is, upon watching this movie, this is, I think, the beginning of this movie is what The Final Girls was the most parodying when they did the flashback to how the killer was created.
Okay.
The special kind of kid that all the others gather and just throw a firework into the thing, and it kind of sets him on fire and turns him nuts against everyone and everything like that.
I have still yet to get around to watch that.
Get out. Get out right now. You're taking that with you tonight.
I have it!
What?
You gave it to me, I just haven't watched it yet.
I'm gonna...
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I understand. You got other stuff going on, but still, it's a great way to laugh if you need a laugh. So, anyway, we are here to finally discuss this. Was it 83, I think?
I believe so.
Classic. And I understand why some people call it a classic. I will say that this did not have the same effect on me that My Bloody Valentine, or even finally watching the original Black Christmas. Like, those movies are genuinely really good movies that I had wished I had seen much earlier. This one...
Same.
I'm kind of okay having caught now. Like, I don't think this would have been in heavy rotation for me. It's a typical slasher movie with some atypical execution at times. So, it's a camp slasher. Obviously, Friday the 13th did that best and most often. But this one, you know, was fairly early on. So, my overall thoughts are that I see why some people like it. But to me, it's not that solid of a story. I like that they did some different things, like the group killing session as opposed to one by one through the entire movie. I thought that was neat. But unfortunately, because there was a group killing session, there was a lot of times where it was just dragged out story that's not really that interesting. Yep. So now you see why, after this movie, why they space it out with multiple kills like every 5 minutes or so, because it keeps it interesting the whole way, as opposed to having these heights and lows.
The long drawn out tension burns out sometimes too quickly.
Did you get that, guys? Burns out.
Oh,
burning.
shit.
I was giving that. I'm gonna add a laugh track if I remember.
Okay.
That's perfect for that.
That wasn't even.
That's why I just turned. No, I know, but it'll work with a laugh track. I just turned to the audience like, But no, so yeah, go ahead. Those are my overall thoughts.
Yeah.
Yours?
No, overall thoughts is I did enjoy this movie. Again, I could see why I didn't necessarily, like, I heard of this movie back in the day, never really looked it up, kind of see why I didn't. Again, I've said it before, I'm not a huge slasher fan. So again, part of the reason why I never looked it up, but I am glad I got to finally watch it. It was a little lackluster at times though. Like we were saying, like, the drawn out tension could have been cut at least in half. Added some of the kills and everything. Even some of the kills we got weren't as hopeful as what I was.
They weren't as original as I was hoping I would see from Tom
a little
Savini.
bit, yeah, that too. Well,
But this was pretty early Tom Savini too. So.
A little bit, yeah. Well, he'd already been kind of doing stuff, you know, with Romero and things like that. So he did have a pretty good foot in it, but it also might have been to the constraints of studio.
True. He was still, I mean, 83, you know, that's That's relatively early.
And that's
for him.
pushing. It is kind of pushing the horror.
It's
kind
relatively
of, like,
early
the kills
for him,
and everything.
because he was doing more Jason movies after this.
True.
So I think this is very much a Tom Savini stepping stone. Like, all of the stuff is great as far. I mean, should we just jump right into the effects first?
We might as well.
Because guys, the effects are the most reason to watch this movie.
Yep.
We'll touch on the other stuff afterwards, but we're gonna go out of order here and hit the effects first.
The effects are
because
definitely the star of this
they're
film.
the centerpiece. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the protein of the meal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It keeps you in there.
Yeah, the characters are the greens, and the story are the mashed potatoes, because the center of the movie is the effects. Yep. And they're all good. They're all really well done effects, although there were a couple times when a guy had to get stabbed in the neck with the shears. So they had to put basically his head through a thing with a fake body, and the neck was like 3 times as long as his normal neck. So suddenly he became a giraffe.
Yeah.
But but outside of that, the effects are really, really cool. There's some questionable choices, like this killer must have brought 10 pairs of pruning shears with him, because he left them at every crime scene, and yet he had them for every new crime scene. So
at least that's how, like, they cut away and everything. Basically, yeah, they just left it in place. It's like, oh, maybe he went back.
He purposely, at one point, he kills someone, and then he purposely stabs it into the tree and walks away, and he's got them again brand new. And the next time he kills someone,
had his hands full.
Okay, I mean, whatever.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. It felt like he just was like, I'm just gonna bring a bunch of shears.
Well, didn't they say that it was his normal thing? Like, he'd carry those around every damn day.
Maybe. Well, maybe so. Yeah, but that. I mean, okay. Look, a guy loves his shears. Fine. It's a nitpick. I
yeah.
suppose.
Well, honestly, should we just cover the story real quick?
Yeah. Please, by all means, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, this is a prank gone wrong on a camp caretaker. So
the origin of the story.
The origin, basically.
It actually takes place a few years later.
Yeah, and that's really the quick sum of it. If you didn't know and everything, it was a prank gone wrong. He was burned basically alive and comes back for revenge on a whole new set of camp counselors.
Hell of a prank, by the way.
Hell of a fucking prank.
Real corpse's
Did you
head.
see all the canisters in that fucking room?
Dude, think about the setup for that. They not only had to go and grave rob a head, they had to hollow the head out in order to place the 2 candles in the eye sockets.
Yeah.
Like, these are some really dark motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And none of them, like, only one of them.
I wasn't really thinking about that. I'm just like,
dude, for real.
And
There's like 6 dudes, 5 or 6 dudes that do this to this guy, cause him to burn alive, and only one of them have the sights set on him in the movie, right? The rest of them just get away with it.
Yeah.
And even then, like, again, spoilers, forgive me, spoilers for a 1983 movie, but even the one guy who had his sights set on him, like, got away with it. Like, none of these dudes pay for it. You think the movie would be about the guy coming back, a la,
technically, there was only one original.
Right, but why aren't those 5 or 6 guys like the victims? I'm like, oh, so these 5 or 6 guys are going to be what he comes back to kill. No, it's one of them, and that one gets away. And not only that, but they actually try and make a hero out of a guy that early on is a peeping Tom in the girl's shower.
Yeah.
Like, what? This movie is entirely off balance. Entirely off balance. The long and short of the story is, that's the origin. So, prank gone wrong, guy catches fire. The rest of the movie is said guy comes back to wreak revenge, but it's not the same camp, right? Because that camp burned down in his accident. It's like the camp next door, and only one of the guys that did this to him is there as a counselor. And so, like, he's just killing random people for absolutely no reason.
He's just ornery.
he's ornery.
All them teeth and no toothbrush.
But yeah, finishing up the effects though, circling back just a little bit.
Yeah.
While they're all good, like some of the kills just felt a little pedestrian. But again, that's because we've seen dozens and dozens of movies since then.
Yeah, they were very. Especially watching them now, they're not original.
Right.
And that's I think it didn't necessarily like pull me away from everything, but it was just I just can't enjoy all the kills as much as I wanted to.
Quite frankly, I think it might have been Tom
They're
Savini
realistically
that did the kill in Friday 5. I might be completely wrong on that. Let me look up who did the makeup effects in Friday 5, because that was the one with the shears through the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right, which was like basically the kills from this movie, but done up best.
And don't get me wrong, like there were some actually pretty good kills in this movie, like especially one where a guy gets impaled into a tree and everything. I kind of like that one. Of course, he had it coming, but there were some. There were a couple cutaway kills and everything. That were,
Yeah, I googled Friday the 13th 5 makeup effects and Tom Savini popped up. So
okay,
exploring. Yeah, well, so hopefully that's correct. But that's literally he takes shears, stabs them through Deborah Voorhees' eyeballs, and like I was like, that's the coolest shear kill in horror movie history. But that came way after he did this one. So there you go.
Afterthoughts.
Yeah. Well,
Afterthoughts.
This was his practice run. You know, like he
can see that.
cut his teeth doing a lot of cool kills in this movie that we've just seen done again and again and again since then. So this is probably the origin of a lot of these kills, but because we've seen them,
he's like,
so
I've done
done
it like this. Well, how can I do it the same way but differently with a new shock?
And then other people are just doing it the same way, and so we've seen those, and so this doesn't seem new to us. When in fact, if we had seen this at the time, it probably would have.
Oh yeah, if I had seen this when I was like 8-9 years old and everything. Summer camp.
Yeah.
You shitting me?
No, thank you. But no, so we just acknowledge that we're a little jaded because we saw this so late that it felt a little bit repetitive to things we've seen before.
And we're not saying that this is a bad movie and you shouldn't watch it.
Not by any stretch.
You definitely should watch this.
No.
Especially if you're a fan of, your 80s slashers. Fuck, that was a decade of slashers.
But the story is something we've seen a dozen times since, especially the I Know You of What You Did Last Summers. That's basically exactly this. But the acting is where I think it falters a bit. There's some real hammy stuff.
Yeah.
One of the nice pluses is that I don't think they believed in giving bras to any of the girls that were on set.
No. And again, I'm thinking like, well, this is basically just 80s horror, sex and horror.
They all swim. They all play softball.
None
braless.
of these scenes would make it off the fucking writing block. Right
and there's of course the absolutely gratuitous shower scene, which they film without showing her boobs for 90% of the scene, and then at one point they're just like boobs because we got to do boobs.
Just the whole thing.
Then not only that,
but waiting, and then you hear the noise. It's like, well, that was...
Yeah, why did we... No, show me... Yeah, okay. Anyway, but then later on, like, there's a girl that goes skinny dipping and, like, comes out and, like, can't find her clothes and is full on just walking around completely, like, all the way. And you're just like, wow, okay, so they're just, like...
That was the one thing they were...
It's stuff you can't get away with doing nowadays because actresses will be like, what does this serve to the story?
Exactly, yeah. Which, to relevancy,
It
did it serve
absolutely
to the
nothing.
story?
Nothing. Like, I don't even think that girl got killed right then. Oh no, she did after she threw on her shirt and panties.
Yeah.
Then she did, but nonetheless. So
follow the cheese.
So but sticking with the acting for a second, the strongest actor is the one that was the most recognizable.
Jason Alexander.
Yes, super young Jason Alexander.
And I
full head of hair.
Yeah, and I don't know if he has a back tattoo or he just has a gorilla living on there.
Gorilla, dude.
Like,
why do you think he kept his shirt on? Because
that's possible.
They wouldn't have let him be like the only hair monster amongst them all. Yeah, well, would he have wanted to? Maybe it kept him warm at night. We don't know. But yeah, Jason Alexander.
About that.
No, I don't either. Jason Alexander was funny. He was
he was the most standout, I would say, and you could see why he had such a successful career after this.
He did still feel like a late 20s high school kid.
Oh, yeah.
But he was one of the stronger actors of them all.
He was basically the comedic effect in this.
And he
played it very well.
Yeah.
He wasn't overbearing, but he wasn't personally I would have liked to seen a little bit more and everything from him.
He was just the silly friend, like he was he was sort of the Animal House, Belushi, yeah. He was the Animal House Belushi. I was gonna say Chris Farley, but Farley was usually one of the main characters, and he obviously wasn't. He was kind of played up as the silly comedy friend, and he did a good job as it. So
no, most definitely.
But yeah, I mean, overall, guys, it's the gore is where this movie's at. I do actually feel like the score stood out. I don't know that it stood out for the best reasons all the time.
No.
Like, it's very synthy at times, and it's very in your face. Like, I was very much like, damn, I'm super noticing the score right now rather than just being affected by the score.
And there were a couple times, especially with like the high little rings and everything. Like, maybe I was just too focused on something else and everything. It kind of like with the dove flying out.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly that got me a little bit. I'm just like, God damn it. Like,
So yeah, I mean, music is okay, but it's a little jarring at times. Sound design is all pretty well done. I mean, it's pretty standard for the time.
cinematography wasn't. It was meh.
Nothing really to write home about. No. So I mean, overall, the movie's okay. It is one of the early '80s slashers that you probably should watch at least once.
At least, yes.
I am glad I own it because of my love for Tom Savini. But
True.
other than that, I don't think I would have.
But
this
also
out.
with like the actors that we do have in here, like there were a lot of actually recognizable characters that you've seen in a lot of other stuff. Like even our
years down the line.
Yeah, years down the line, I'm going through. I'm like, where have I seen this guy from? Holy shit, is that okay? Well, what else? Fucking. But
you
like
somehow recognize, like, this movie was '83, and you somehow recognize the guy from his 2003 form, which was like plus 100 pounds, but not in the right way, because he was pretty beefy in The Burning, but he was the opposite in Spider-Man.
It was like, that guy, but also he played the sergeant in Dance with the Wolves. Yeah. Don't ask me how. Facial recognition, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's cross-generational face recognition, which is impressive, I gotta say. But that, I think, is pretty much gonna do it. Any other thoughts on The Burning?
No.
I think we covered it pretty well.
Check this out if you haven't. It's definitely a worthy watch for any 80s slasher fan.
It's actually just been added to Shudder this week.
No shit.
It is now on Shudder, so you don't have to
more
do
you
what
know.
I did. You don't have to buy the collector's edition Blu-ray. It is now available on Shudder, so if you have that $5 a month Shudder subscription, you can go and watch it right now. I think that's the best way to do it. So $5.
And if you like it enough, buy it.
Well, look, you can pay $5 and just watch that on Shudder. It's like you paid $5 to rent the movie. I think the movie's worth $5, but if you do that, there's a bunch of other awesome stuff on Shudder that you can check out, especially Terrified, Beelzebub, like all of these things. So the $5 is worth it, and just throw on The Burning as a little sprinkle of awesome on top of everything, because it does have those awesome Tom Savini effects.
Indubitably.
So thank you guys very much for watching. If you want to become a patron and throw your request in on a monthly basis for our poll, or request a movie yourself at that higher Cenobite tier, then you certainly can. It's not all that much, guys, but you can absolutely control the content here if you do so. The link to that is in the description box down below. While you're down there, if you enjoyed this review, click the like button and subscribe. Ding that notification bell. And until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Robert.
And remember, stay scared.